All right, welcome to the Business Titans podcast, where we talk everything to do with strategy on growing and scaling your business. And I'm very excited today because I have with me today Natalie Dinsdale, who's a woman who loves a good challenge. With an impressive history in working with disruptors, including Eubank, Virgin, Bankwest. Today, Natalie is the CMO of Athena and board member for FinTech Australia. Natalie has taken the Athena brand from forgettable to irresistible, creating a stream of new Australians who want their home loan from Athena so they can break free from the mortgage life sentence. How are you, Natalie?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for the introduction.
I always love doing a good introduction because I get to see people's best smile when I do a good introduction. Like, oh, this is a bit awkward. I don't know how to take this. So no, it's really good to see you today, Natalie.
You too.
We're going to start off just getting straight into the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing means so many different things to many different people. You've got MarTech, you've got the psychology, you've got branding schemes, you've got color, like it's everything, right? So how does Natalie demystify that process in her mind? What is marketing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I kind of feel that I do have a certain approach and a framework with how I like to do marketing, and particularly challenger brands. I'm addicted to challenger brands, as you reeled off, from Virgin Money to Egg in the UK to Eubank. Where I start off, and what I think the platform is for any marketing, is actually taking the time to articulate what your brand is. And I think it's something when, especially for startups in particular, but again, also massive big corporations, where they haven't looked at what their brand stands for in a very long time, they kind of miss it out because they think, oh, brand's fluffy stuff. It doesn't really matter. A lot evolve. We just need sales. But actually your brand is the very the differentiating factor of what will allow you to stand out in the market. And I was very adamant about that coming on board with Athena. I kind of said, we really need to spend the first kind of couple of months creating what I call a brand blueprint. And that is therefore articulating your values, your value proposition, identifying the white space in the market that you can own, but most importantly, anchoring the brand in a customer insight. So that is something I'm very, very passionate about, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to resonate with customers. And it was through that process that when we were doing our brand blueprint that we went, oh, everyone's talking about getting a home loan. Nobody's talking about getting rid of one. And that was the white space in the market. Nobody was talking about helping customers getting out of debt and paying down their home loan faster. We went through a process, then we kind of pull apart that proposition in terms of very extreme angles. We go into research to start to get customers to feedback. And it was fascinating going through different target segments, from the very active money managers to the more passive customers who don't look at their home loan more regularly. When we put that proposition in front of them, they all went, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. This talks to me. This is what I want. So once you kind of get that in place, and I'm very fortunate at Athena, the pay down your home loan faster is the very nucleus of this company. Everyone rallies around it, from customer service to what we build in the back end to help customers do that. But then of course, like you say, you have to look at, well, how are you going to actually drive acquisition? How are you going to get customers out there? And like you said, there's many, many facets to that, from doing the very hard, cold love. We have this framework called lust like love. Yeah. Is that right? Yes. So lust is basically, the very cold, hard-hitting messages, cold acquisition, we call it. So those messages that really need to hit people between the eyes and be quite arresting. So that's why we had things like the mortgage bondage bus and, other kind of, what should I say, a bit controversial marketing out there. And then we have the like, which is, getting to our website, us giving them a bit more information. And then the love part is the nurture journey. So how are we going to nurture people from start an application and use their data and get them to submit. So I love marketing because it's the science and the art, and it's the combination of everything. But I think it's very important you start with the brand, then you go in terms of the strategy, and then you kind of look at your data that you're having and optimize accordingly. And everything we do at Athena is about testing constantly, which I love.
Yeah, so you really lay it in, and I say that all the time. It's not just about the psychology, because what you've said there really relates to psychology, and that you're trying to change people's behavior. Like the people on the phone calls that are nurturing these people, they've got to feel the brand. They have to the brand. We all have to live the brand if we want our brands to resonate. So it's really important there. And then you've layered in that data-driven stuff, which is, well, what does the data say? Now, I love what you've done with Athena because it is edgy, right? And typically in banking, they're not edgy. They play it safe. It's all, we just get by, and banking is a profitable industry. So there's no need to be edgy. What advice would you give to someone that is a creative like yourself, because you're very creative, that's in that kind of very logical structure, they don't want to go very creative? What kind of advice would you give to people that want to take a chance, and how do you convince people to go down the path that you're going down?
Yeah, I get asked this quite a lot, and trust me, I've been in jobs and positions where it's been a lot harder to convince people who think that, it's too scary to deviate from the norm. And really what I do, customer research. So I do research and I look for the cut through that it would generate and what people feed back on. Now, when you're doing qual research in particular, you do have to be careful because, you'll always get someone in a research group going, oh my gosh, that is so unprofessional. I would, I can't imagine a banking. I would never, I'm just mortified that you would do that. But you have to go with the majority, and then you have to ask them the question, but would you look them up? Would you actually go to the website to see what they're offering? And most of the time people kind of have an initial reaction. So, in terms of like, we'll give you a happy ending was one of our things that we had, because we'll help you pay down your home loan. And most of them go, actually, yeah, I would. So, it's about that cut through that you're going to get. And majority of people go, wow, this is so refreshing. Actually being a bit edgy kind of says you're human. You're more like me. You're talking my language. So I've been in positions in the past where it's been a lot more difficult to get people on board with doing something different. And I've done it with customer research. And I've even brought my researcher into meetings, because kind of when more, board members, etc., hear it from a third party, and I've had a researcher come and say, resonate so well. So yes, it's different. But if you want something different, you want to cut through, you've got to be brave and you've got to sound different. It's quite interesting with COVID hitting. I mean, I think COVID is one of the best things that could have happened to the banks, because after the Royal Commission, they have come out as the heroes now, saving everybody. And they've been through this a million times before. But there was this ad going around on LinkedIn. It was called COVID Wank, because it was literally every single ad sounded the same. We're here for you. We're here for you. We're here for you. And uncertain times, uncertain times. We've been through this before, all with piano music, and they all just blend into one. So I think if you really want to show that you can drive a higher share of voice, you can have more cut through, it's about being different. And if you want to persuade people, get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, and I love the strategy that you've used to actually bring a researcher in to help back your story, because sometimes, if you're right, if it just comes from your mouth, it's easy to be skeptical, especially for people that are naturally skeptical. Some people, their brains are just naturally skeptical. Like lawyers, they're wired to see skeptically, right? So you sometimes have to bring a voice of reason into those situations. So tell me, Natalie, not every company has a CMO, but I feel that a chief marketing officer is the life and blood of a business, because it's what powers your message in the market. It's what helps you do brand or customer acquisition. What does a CMO actually do? Or what does a good CMO do?
Yeah, again, a question I get asked a lot with startups who tend to not invest in getting a CMO on board because they don't necessarily believe in marketing. But I think a good CMO, again, pulls together that brand strategy and gets buy-in from the business. Again, I was very lucky at Athena. I was employee number 8. So there was a very... my challenge is what I had to do is take the founding team who was around the table and stop having them project their personality into the brand. And that's why I had a very particular framework to do. So it's about kind of going, right, this is the process I want to go through. And this is the customer audience. And how do we get something that's different, that doesn't just reflect? And it was quite interesting. Our team was, they were very humble. They were like, we don't want to, I think when I came on board, our logo was all lowercase. It was a little house. And I was like, guys, like, you know, we are doing something different. We are here to revolutionize home loans. You know, we don't want to be meek and mild and going, excuse me, do you want a home loan? We want to shout it from the rooftops. And what was really interesting is I had a guy do our tone of voice who's an absolute genius. And he came on board and he said, right, I'm pulling Athena out of the Greek ages. She's not your old god, and she is now your goddess of good stuff. She's like a mixture of Beyonce and a Serena Williams. So she's here to take on the big boys, and she is proud, and she's got balls, and you know, and everyone went, yeah, and that stopped them projecting their own personality onto the brand. Yeah. So in terms of what a good CMO does, they really do have to get buy-in from everyone around the table. They have to you know, really create a mission that everyone believes in. And that North Star, and that is absolutely what we have. You know, our mission is to be Australia's most loved home lender, and the consumer propositions help customers get out of debt and pay down their home loan. And everyone here at Athena like really believes in that, and they love the fact that they come to work every day for a greater purpose. So that's I think one of the cruxes of being a marketing manager, because then once you get the brand manifesting itself, not just from the outside external acquisition, but every point and every single product feature that we put forward, everything that exists, you know, behind security when customers are looking at their account, that's when you get true differentiation.
Yeah, I love that. And I hope people catch the gust of that marketing is not just something you're doing externally. But it does come back and infiltrate even the employees to build a better culture. Like that is one of the most powerful things I think of marketing, because it does impact that human psychology. And if you can have people that come to work every day that love what they do, you're just going to have a better company. It's just the reality of it. You know, I think gone are the days where people go and they want to go to work, tick the box, come home and just drown their sorrows, right? I don't think people want that anymore. People want something, a bigger purpose, a bigger mission, a company that's kicking goals and making a positive difference in the world. So I love that with your approach, you've done that.
That is 100% right. And another thing I was very passionate about doing is we have our brand values, you know, be straight up and lead with heart and move with speed. And that's our brand values, but it's also our internal values. And we spent a lot of time as an organization, and it comes from the top down. You know, Nathan and Michael, our founders, are so big believers in this, but we spent a lot of time interpreting that for our culture in terms of specific behaviors. And again, I was very pushy and kind of going, this is what we mean by it, and this is what we don't mean. So moving at speed means, you know, not having analysis paralysis or processes for the sake of it, but we have an expression about being, you know, it's being brave but not kamikaze stupid. So it's not kind of going, but I was just moving at speed, so you neglect to do, you know, I suppose basic things you have to do, like get legal sign off, and you know, we don't want to end up in jail. So we spent a lot of time going, my brand values and culture values very much have to be in sync with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what creates loyalty over time, right? Because fine to go and create a brand and to go get customers, but if you don't keep those customers, then it's not a sustainable business. So marketing really permeates that in terms of not only growth, but in terms of longevity and sustainability in your company. So I love that you've done that. That's right. How do you think, and are there any core philosophies that you follow when it comes to problem solvings or things that might arise in your given day?
It's funny, I talk about this with my team all the time. So I have a couple of philosophies, especially when I talk to my team about. I always say to them, you know, there's going to be problems all over the place, but I always say, before you come to me, think about some solutions. It doesn't matter if it's not the right one, but go solution first. Yes. I'm all about embracing problems, you know, embracing challenges, facing into the hard stuff, because especially as a startup, that's what you have to do. And not being scared of problems. Again, that kind of goes back to being brave with the brand. You know, I said to Nathan and Michael, I was like, we're going to get complaints. And that's what we want. We don't want to, you know, we don't make everybody happy.
I love it.
In fact, I say enough. We didn't get enough complaints. We should have been even bolder. So, you know, there's problems on other sides. There's problems like when things go wrong or if a customer has a bad experience. But I think the main thing is knowing what the problems are. So even, for example, we ask our customers to fill out Trustpilot once they settle. And we do it on purpose because obviously we have a very high trust rating, so it acts as a good marketing vehicle, but it also allows us to know when things have gone wrong. And we've had some really bad ones where people have come back and gone, oh my God, awful, things went wrong. And we jump on it immediately. In fact, like Nathan, sometimes if it's really bad, he calls the customer and he goes, thank you so much for your feedback. I'm so sorry, we're gonna fix it. And that in turn makes those customers advocates, because they go, oh, I didn't expect you to do anything about it. But it's about jumping on problems, being fast, looking for solutions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not, bearing away from them, but facing them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the future of Athena? Where do you see, in the next 5-10 years, what transformation is going to happen in Australia? How do you see this panning out?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, of course, I'm really excited. I think we, are going to come out of what we are coming out of this situation, stronger than ever. We have been quite quiet over COVID, but we're just about to switch everything back on. Over the course of the next couple of years, we're expecting a lot more competition, and we actively encourage that and embrace it. I think home loans was always the last product to kind of face the revolution in fintechs. Athena has always said, we never want to be a bank. We're not going to apply for a banking license. We're always going to be focused on home loans. But there's so much we want to do. There's so much about home loans that is broken, and the whole front book, back book pricing, and not loving existing customers first, about educating people about what comparison rates mean. And for us, we're looking at growth, we're looking at expansion, we're looking at building tools that actively help customers pay down their home loan. And I think it's going to be a very different landscape in the next couple of years, where we're going to see other competitors jump on board. And like I say, we actively encourage that, because anything that helps Australians get a better deal, get them to be more proactive in managing their home loan, is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with all this, competition is a great thing, but sometimes competition does it wrong, and it actually is better to the brand. So I always welcome competition as well. That's awesome.
Me too.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about marketing?
Wow, so many. The coloring department. Gosh, so many. Yeah, the ones where people don't think they don't think like it really does anything. They think that products or brands are going to sell themselves. I have a guy on my team who has the expression, you can't sell a secret. People think, well, you just drop your rates and people will come. It's like, well, you have to tell people you've dropped your rate, And I think that also a misconception that actually it's very analytical. You can pull everything back to numbers. But you also have to have an eye for customer insights and creative that's going to achieve cut through. And there is the emotional stance. So as a blonde woman in marketing as well, dare I say, there's always a lot of misconceptions. But when marketing is done well, it can absolutely transform an organization and take the growth aspect to a different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the FinTech Board?
I have to admit, though, that was actually a couple of years ago. I haven't updated my LinkedIn thing. So I was part of FinTech Australia a few years ago, and I really should change that. Which was fascinating, because it was when I had just come out of having my babies, and I was desperate to get back into fintech. I was working at Tyro, and it was an opportunity that came on board. But we're massive advocates of FinTech Australia. Athena is a member as well. Athena won a Finnie last year, and they're doing some fantastic things in terms of promoting and advocating for change from a legislative perspective in order to help fintechs. And I would say now more than ever, that is needed. I mean, when you see about the fact when COVID hit and the government came and gave the big banks free funding, basically, and forgotten about for a while. So I think, FinTech Australia, I'm very passionate about, and we are active members at the moment.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. I love that. And For people that are looking at getting new customers into their business, where would you start? You've talked about notions of research and things like that, but where would you start, and what's the natural process in very short, because we don't have much time left?
Sure. Well, again, it all depends on your budget and, I suppose what you're selling. But I kind of go, well, look at what your always on channels are first. For us, 70% of our budget is digital. We've had really good success with radio, but we're looking to expand on other above the line channels. And I guess one of my main approaches is to always look bigger than you are. So rather than spread yourself too thinly and try and go and do like a national campaign, where your target audience is. What is the, at the moment we don't have journeys to work, but when we launched, we were looking a lot at our target audience, what their day-to-day lives were like, what their journeys to work were, and dominate certain areas of time or certain space. So we went very specifically in, for example, Melbourne and Sydney CBDs, and we dominated those areas. So look at how you can be bigger in a smaller space is what I would say. If that makes sense.
Fantastic advice. Well, Natalie, I'm going to turn the stream off and stop the recording. I'll talk with you just in a moment, but I wanted to very much publicly in front of everyone for joining us today and sharing your incredible creativity, your passion and your zest for life and the way you think. I love it. Is there any final words that you want to say to the audience?
No, I would just say, all my marketers, I say, be brave, take risks, take chances. If you don't take risks and chances, you're not learning new things. And keep pushing people do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Give me 1 sec.
Sure.